What's the future of Agile? Is it going down? Is it dead? Last 10 years, I was never called by any of the organizations.
Are they doing enough? 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. That's not the expectation. People will not think through and they will look at only daily operational aspects. The industry will, over a period of time, little bit skeptical about these roles as well.
Hi, this is JP here from Lean Wisdom. Welcome to our podcast series. It's my pleasure having Satya with me today for our podcast. Satya and I have worked together for a very long time in multiple engagements. Right? Whenever I work with Satya, I always admire, looking at the way he does a safe transformation, the way he coaches the leaders, the way he conducts trainings, the way he conducts himself, with a very authentic, personality that I have seen. So it's my pleasure having you, Satya, right? In this conversation. Today we are going to talk about a topic that is connected to, Agile itself, right? So I'm sure it's interesting for many of you. So Satya, my question probably for you is, if you notice in the last 1.5 to 2 years, right? If you see people, there is a feeling that Agile is down, Agile is not going great, right? Is Agile dead? Do we need Agile, right? Such questions, and it is becoming more common that people call me. We have conducted together multiple trainings, right? And you have done separately. You have done coaching. From all these aspects, I see people kind of asking this question: what's the future of Agile, right? In a new age world, like in a AI world, is it going down? Is it dead? Right? Well, please go ahead, Satya.
Yeah. Thanks, JP, and truly appreciate your contribution to the safe and agile world as well. I've seen wonderful work done in the marketplace. Coming to your question, is agile slowing down? The answer is yes. Maybe in the last 12 to 18 months. It is not because we have something else in place. Because of that, the agile is slowing down. Even today, the best way to build solutions, build product, agile is the way to go about it. There is no alternative at this point in time. We all know that. So the adoption of the agile is little slowed down because of various reasons in the last 12 to 18 months. We know a lot of uncertainties in the market. The AI disruption is happening. Organizations are a little conscious about in terms of their investments, way to do the investment and stuff like that. But one important thing what we also need to consider is we have been implementing and practicing agile from last 2.5 decades in the industry. But did we produce real impactful business outcomes?
Very good question.
Yeah. So somewhere we may have to also introspect on these aspects. Probably we'll discuss a little more on that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you touched the nerve of this whole thing. That is Agile producing results, right? And it's a common thing. My experience as well that it is 30 years now since Agile, Scrum has been in place, like 1997. It's close to 30 years, 28 years, right? How come we are still not able to release a product with, predictably or in terms of quality or faster time to market, right? I consider these as business results, right? Where are we giving a business result because of Agile? The answer is, my experience is yes and no, right? There are organizations I've seen getting great results. There are organizations struggling as well, right? And I think I completely echo what you're saying, that there is a struggle in terms of achieving the end goal of the transformation. Yeah. So when you said about business result and the goal, what was in your mind?
So more or less, the similar thought process. Somewhere I strongly believe that a part of agile adoption. As you said, some organization done decent job. Some adopted at the surface level. employing certain practices,
Mm.
employing certain ceremonies, and probably thinking that this is all about agile and stuff like that. So these are good things to bring a lot of discipline in the way we work, but that's not good enough to produce something impactful business outcome. So when we talk about transformation, when we talk about producing business outcome, we have to look at the overall ecosystem. I think we keep discussing this in many forums, in our consulting and transformation work as well, that we have to look at the way we are building the product. We need to look at the cultural aspect of it. We need to look at people. We need to look at the technical agility aspects. So we might have to look at all of this as a whole, and then we need to see how you want to produce the desired outcome. But touching only one part of the transformation, which is employing certain processes and practices, may bring in some discipline in the way in which we work with, but definitely may not bring in impactful outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to what you said, Satya, in the last 10 years, I'm sure you have the same experience. Last 10 years, I was never called by any of the organizations saying that we don't know Agile, can you come and help? Every organization is already Agile, right? And then we have gone to at least 2 or 3 companies together, and we stayed for 2-3 years. The organization that is already Agile, and we have to continue doing a lot more and then bring much better business results and cultural agility and so on, right? So Agile was followed as a more practice, more like, okay, we're doing daily stand-up, we are Agile. We have a Scrum Master, we have Agile, right? We are Agile now, right? Now we have something called backlog, we are Agile. But we have 6 weeks of sprints, right? And things like that. So I think this blindly following some practice without understanding the or without focusing on the specific goals that you want to achieve is also definitely a challenge, right? So what's your experience? Another point, right? And I want to bring it. Recently, I also released a video on my weekend stories where I did not pick up an assignment because the leader was not agile, right? The leader himself was not agile. He was not ready. Even he was not ready to attend one day of a leadership agility workshop with me. But he was the leader of 520 people, right? 500 plus people organization, right? So, what is your experience around this area? Like leaders not going through a training and formal learning of what is agile, but the entire organization at the ground, engineers going through and becoming an agile. Does it? Have you seen working?
See, when we talk about leadership, who are responsible for transforming their product lines or business unit, probably we have to touch upon 2 to 3 types here. So one is, let's say somebody who is a leader in India, who is managing about 500 odd people. So definitely, somebody who's managing 500 people, busy, the plate is full, the priorities are very different, to produce business outcome, you're responsible for revenue and many of those. Now, when we started doing the transformation, so leadership role is not just about sponsoring it, but also have to play a very, very important role driving the transformation, helping to deal with systemic impediment, and wherever critical decisions has to be made, they have to be involved and stuff like that. So what I see is, so sometimes the practitioners or the coaches have to play a very, very critical role educating the leaders in terms of their role in the absence of their participation. What would be the impact? What is going to be at stake? So any transformation comes with a cost. We invest on people, we invest on infrastructure, we invest on many things. So at the end of the day, the organization also want to see a concrete business outcome. So now, unless if the leader engagement is not there, many of this is going to slow down, and probably we may not produce the great results as well. So educating is something very, very important. This is number one. The other type what I see is, the development teams are here, but the leadership somewhere in Europe. So this is where we have a lot more challenges to deal with, because the culture of a country or a geography, and culture of the company will also dictate the behavior of a leader.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
For example, an organization which is, exists from last, 100 odd years. So it's a miracle that they exist 100 odd years. They're transforming themselves. This way, they're still relevant in today's market. But because of the scale and the culture, basically the ability to make faster decisions, the ability to do rapid decisions, the ability to make big changes, right? All of that may not be there. One is it's something to do with the capability of the leader, and also it is
The ecosystem.
the ecosystem, the culture itself, right? And this also plays a very, very important role.
Absolutely, the legacy, right? The longer, the larger, the longer the duration they are in existence, the longer it takes to a transformation as well.
Now, if I want to connect it back to your original question, that is agile is slowing down in the last 12 to 18 months, the answer is yes, for various reasons. We all know that a lot of uncertainties, the AI disruptions, people still figuring it out, what is the way to go about it, little conscious about spending money and stuff like that. But one important thing what we also need to consider, when we discuss about it, as each practitioner, as somebody who is a team member, or somebody who is a scrum master, an RTE, or a coach, or somebody else who is playing this role to make difference in terms of building great solutions, are they doing enough? Right? See, probably if I'm starting a journey, I'm a position as scrum master, and initially the role of a scrum master is to installation of certain practices, ceremonies, bring in a lot more discipline, way of working and stuff like that. Now, if a scrum master continue to do the same thing even after 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, that's not the expectation.
Exactly.
Then what happens? Leadership will look at it. Okay, so this is what this person was doing 18 months ago, and this is what the person is doing today. Then what additional value I'm getting out of that role? So the person also has to think through what other ways and means in which we can add value. How do I build high-performing team? How do I, deal with systemic improvement? How do I bring in cultural agility? There are many aspects. People will not think through, those aspects, and they will look at only daily operational aspects. Because of that, the industry will, over a period of time, and today many of the industries are a little bit skeptical about these roles as well.
Thank you so much, Satya.
Pleasure.